Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Talking with Our Traders, a Caesar Sportsbook original series. This is where we sit down with our very own Caesar Sportsbook traders and dive deep into everything NFL and college football. Whether you're looking for insider insights or just want to hear what the pros have to say, you've come to the right place. I'm your host, Cindy Edwards, and with me today, as always, is Craig Mucklow, Vice President of Trading here at Caesar Sportsbook.
Hello there.
And Joey Fiesel, Head of Football here at Caesars.
Hello.
Hey guys, let's dive into some college football. Joey, will Ashton Jeanty finish with the best running back season in college football history?
Stats-wise, he's still on pace to beat Barry Sanders' record. He's going to need 1,381 yards and 21 touchdowns from here on out to break that record. But I think there's going to be an asterisk. I mean, the best running back in college football history because of the competition he's facing. I mean, he's in the Mountain West, so that's always going to be hanging over his head. He did face an Oregon defense that is looked pretty, okay this weekend. I mean, they did give up a lot of points, but they are in that upper tier class. But outside of that, it's Mountain West. So stats-wise, is he going to break the record? I think he's very possible, and I think they're going to feed him. They're going to kind of pad that stats, especially when it gets later in the year to try to get him there. But when we look at it historically, is he the best running back in history? Probably not.
He averages 208 yards per game on the ground, 2.8 touchdowns per game. Barry Sanders averaged 238 yards per game, 3.36 touchdowns. Also, Barry Sanders caught the ball more times as well. Ashton Jeanty only has 9 catches this year. Will it be top 5? Absolutely. And then if you look at the 5 greatest college rushing performances of all time, Barry Sanders, Marcus Allen, Melvin Gordon, Derrick Henry, and the almighty Ricky Williams. All bar Melvin Gordon won the Heisman. So the one thing that will be on our radar, especially after last year's Heisman, is when it comes to stat patting time. And if I can ever say that right, he's going to get fed the ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's, on average, I don't think he gets there. And he's an injury away, as everybody is.
Very
the
true.
real problem.
Very true. All right, Joey, will Army or Navy make the college football playoff?
No, I don't think they will because Ashton Jeanty's standing in their way. Now, if we see a meltdown from Boise, they are certainly in the mix. And what's going to be wild is they can play each other in the American Athletic Conference. Then the week after is the Army-Navy game. Then one of them could be in the college. It'd be a wild
Insane.
December, early December for college football. But I think both these teams are great, Army and Navy. Just every weekend, the liabilities rack up on them because they know how powerful these teams are. And really, market still tries to fight back on them every week after week. But they do have one team that's standing in both their way, and that's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who have already been embarrassed once by a non-Power 5 team. I don't think they're going to let it happen again, so I think it'll be a mute point once the Fighting Irish get a hold of them, both on neutral fields, too, which is interesting.
20-1 and 25-1 suggests the answer is no. That's for their odds to make the playoffs. Again, going to what Joey said, one of them has to run the table, and you have to win that game at the end of the year against your Army or Navy. So if Army beats Notre Dame, they've got to beat Navy at the end of the year. So they've got to go unbeaten to have a chance. One thing that I was always told when I first moved here is how people love to bet the service academies because they're so disciplined and they play till the very end of the game.
Yeah.
So you always look to bet them on the spread. And every time we do the liabilities every weekend, it's like, oh, here we go again.
Yep.
Yeah. But they're having great years.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some game previews. Number 5 Georgia versus number 1 Texas. Joey, break it down for us.
Yeah, we got the new class of the SEC with the Texas Longhorns going against Georgia Bulldogs. A game that's going to have plenty of championship implications, both in the national championship and the SEC. If Georgia ends up pulling this win out, which the line is kind of going against them, then we're going to see some wild 1 through 5 odds that's going to be pretty close together. As we saw last week, Texas, they're good on both sides of the ball, right? We thought Oklahoma had a better defense. It was Quinn Ewers getting back. He didn't look that great, but they did enough to win a 34-3 victory in a rivalry game, which was impressive. Georgia, a team that's really kind of not impressing. The one thing I think about Georgia, though, is they don't pad stats. They don't need to, right? The committee still has respect for them, where if you're an Ole Miss or you're another kind of lower level, you have to kind of build that big record early. So whether they're playing possum or whether they're not that good, I guess we're going to find out. But this should be a very competitive game against a very good Texas team that is probably the deserved number one.
Yeah.
These were two of the top 5 teams when we opened the book on the futures. Easily, this Texas's toughest game on the schedule now for the rest of the year. A loss doesn't necessarily hurt them. A loss for Georgia probably does hurt them, and probably a lot of have to do with the Alabama-Tennessee game as well. Do you remember the MTV show Celebrity Deathmatch?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So this is the best matchup of the day because didn't the dog go against the bull 2 years ago in the Sugar Bowl?
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, yeah.
I saw this video yesterday.
I did too.
Who wins that in Celebrity Deathmatch as the undercard?
I know. I'm backing Uga, but I don't know if I'm backing Georgia.
I mean, this is another tough game for Georgia. I mean, they got Alabama on the road, and then they get Texas on the road.
Yeah.
You'll see the quality of Georgia if they pull this one out.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next game, 11 Tennessee welcomes number 7 Alabama. Joey, what should we expect from these two teams who have had a weird couple of weeks?
Yeah, both these teams coming off 2 very close wins that very well could have been losses last week. Tennessee going to overtime with Florida. Florida, again, not really highly regarded as a very great team. And Alabama escaping another bad loss against South Carolina. Ranked number 7 and 11 in the country. Certainly doesn't feel like these teams deserve to be ranked that high, especially in the past couple weeks. But I think overall, they do have the talent there. Alabama, to me, is the clear right side. Sure, Jalen Milroe has had some struggles in the past weeks, but I think those were matchup. Like, South Carolina is a really good defense, and it wasn't surprising to me to see those struggles. But I think they move forward, and I think this spot is just too big of a moment from Nico Iamaleava, Tennessee quarterback. Blitz, Bama blitz, give me the Tide.
Craig?
Alabama have won 16 of the last 17 matchups, and the last one was 2 years ago. Tennessee won, which was an absolute classic. They hit that field goal at the end of the game, and they came all the way back. Probably one of the best college games I've ever seen, albeit far too high scoring for my liking. We'll definitely see the real Alabama now, and we'll see how good they are because they've got Tennessee on the road, ranked Missouri, and then LSU on the road, which will be a tough
the LSU game's going to be tough.
There's an argument that after Alabama's big win with Georgia, you expect a drop-off because they pat in the back and partying too much, and then take their eyes off lesser opposition, knowing the 3 that are coming. Now, should they have lost South Carolina, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It felt like they had the game comfortable, and they still had to get the onside kick and still had to go down and score. So I just think they've got their eye on the next 3 weeks for sure. And so we'll just see how good Alabama is now.
Yeah. And you know how it goes. A couple of shaky performances and people are going to start talking. So we don't believe the hype that Alabama might be washed.
No, it's just a wake-up call.
No,
I think we're seeing this is the transition year from Saban to DeBoer. And we're seeing some struggles on the offensive side of the ball. They're kind of really pressuring Milroe, putting him in situations. A couple of weeks ago we talked about him in the Heisman. Now he's thrown a couple of picks. He's kind of out of the mix for the most part. So we're seeing the regression, but I do think they get right. They have so much talent. They have such great history. They're not washed.
And they've had the 3rd hardest schedule from what I could tell, just looking at the numbers. And you got to remember, when you're playing these non-ranked teams, it's their Super Bowl. Every single
they're
time.
Gonna bring
you are getting everything on the table. There is no, we're just, it's Alabama, we'll take it easy. No, they want to win these games, as you saw with Vanderbilt the other week. So, no, you've just got to roll with these punches for 60 minutes because you are going to get everything unloaded.
Right. Okay, which college football team is on upset alert this weekend?
Craig, you're the king of this. Why don't you start?
Yeah, Craig.
6 out of 8. Can you believe this?
You are killing the upset calls.
Yeah, I'm almost
on a
upset because I got
basis.
nothing to show for it. Okay, so the math has a couple this week, but the one I like the most is Northwestern upsetting Wisconsin. Wisconsin's got Penn State next weekend. Stick to the formula with overvalued on the spread, and I make the money line even better. One interesting thing with Northwestern is every time I put the liabilities together at the weekend, they always seem to do us a favor when we need it the most. Whether college basketball, college football, we get an upset. It's, Northwestern just pulled this off. Yeah. Brilliant, thank you. So I'm going to go with Old Faithful Northwestern this week.
I like it. Joey?
Fresno State's on upset alert.
That was on my list.
Nevada Wolfpack, new head coach Jeff Choate.
Yep.
Finally, we're on the right side of a one-possession game last week. Looking to build upon that. Give me the mighty Wolfpack Friday night, Mackey Stadium.
Oh, you better wrap up warm. That's like 29 degrees at game time.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be really cold.
I like it. Okay, let's get into some NFL. Credit where credit's due. Craig did call the Davante Adams trade quite early this season before we even knew Davante was unhappy.
Before week 1.
Yeah, in Las Vegas. So will the Davante Adams trade make a difference for the Jets?
No, the problem remains. Old quarterback. We've talked about the stats. 40-year-old quarterbacks. There's only one that's ever done the opposite. Offensive line can't protect him. He took so many hits the other night. It takes longer to recover as you get older.
Which he's been vocal about as well. He said it takes him longer to recover.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
I know. I'm slightly older than him. There's too many defensive penalties. Against the Vikings, basically the whole drive was Sauce Gardner pass interference all the way. And then again, we saw it on Monday night. But the one thing that didn't surprise me is the minute Mike Williams slipped on Monday night and the ball was picked, you knew full well Davante Adams was on that plane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I nearly texted that group and said, it's happening.
Yeah, I believe it will make a difference. Davante and Rodgers have the chemistry that Rodgers so desperately wants, right? We hear him talking all off season, talking about how he wants to get on the right page, and this is his guy. I think Davante was happy to get out of Las Vegas when the relationship clearly went sour this past couple of years. I think this only adds positives to the Jets team. I mean, their offense did look better on Monday night, and I think that helped with the new play caller after the coaching change. So do I think the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl? No. But do I think this helps them? Absolutely.
Yeah.
What was his two favorite throws? The Hail Mary.
And the under the bus.
Under the bus.
Yeah. That was
go.
hard to watch, to be honest. Yeah, I think it will make a difference for a week. And then they'll probably go back to form.
I think Davante Adams' doctor might get some credit as well because I think he'll be miraculously recovered this week.
Yeah,
I saw a
right?
couple memes on that yesterday. That's pretty fun.
I saw some fantastic memes. How would you guys rebuild the Browns if you were the team's owner? They need some desperate help. They need your advice.
Do you want to go first?
You go ahead.
Okay. You fire the person who made the decision to trade for Deshaun Watson, if they're still in the building, and pay all that money and pay all those draft picks. You hire a coach and you say to the coach, okay, you've got 5 years guaranteed I'm not firing you because the next 3 years you're stuck with Deshaun Watson behind center while he remains healthy. Tank. Get a load of draft picks. Get rid of your assets. They got rid of Amari Cooper yesterday.
Yeah.
Start building some assets. Then you say to the coach in 3 years' time, okay, now you've got 2 years. I've let you go 0-54 or whatever the number will be. Because the Browns can do it because they've gone 0-16 before. And now it'll be 0-17. Give that coach 3 years to build all the assets, rebuild the team, get rid of all that dead cap space, and then you've got a 2-year window. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
Joey, you agree?
Yeah, sell the farm, get draft picks,
Exactly.
lose games.
Yeah.
All right.
And your
Bing,
team
bong,
won a
boom.
Super Bowl. Get
Yeah,
Yeah.
get away, get it done.
got to rebuild.
I
Gotta
like
rebuild.
it. All right. Next question. Most underrated team this season. Joey?
Seattle Seahawks are most underrated to me. I think offensively they have one of the best wide receiver cores. I think they're always in games. They just find themselves making mistakes. I still think Mike McDonald is a great coach. And I think they're much better than their record, the 3-3 record suggests. So Seahawks for me.
Seahawks haven't beaten anybody. We talked about this the other week. Was it the Patriots,
Yeah.
the Dolphins, and somebody else? And they couldn't even beat the Giants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just the way they do lose.
Right.
I feel like they're one play away from turning the tide.
Yeah.
So that way
they're
they're
always
gonna-
there. I agree. And that's that's the past couple of seasons as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Craig?
tend to do us favors when we needed them the most. Underrated, yeah?
Yep.
So I looked at this as who's really low in the Super Bowl odds and who's really high in my personal rankings. And this pains me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they're top 10 in my ratings, yet 40-1 to win the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And we'll see how good Tampa Bay are this weekend.
We sure
It's a
will.
big game.
We'll see how for real they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's flip it. Who is the most overrated team in the NFL right now, Joey?
Washington Commanders are the most overrated team.
Ooh.
I just see them as, having that rookie quarterback. They're already treating him like he's a top-level talent, and they're treating this team like, granted there is problems in their division, but just week in, week out, they're 8-point favorites this week. I just think they're just a little overrated. I think that's going to come down.
All right. Craig?
I'm going to look really stupid when we do the game previews. So I'll get back to normal in a moment. Houston Texans.
I don't disagree, but go on.
I have them 17th on offense, 19th on defense, yet 10-1 to win the Super Bowl. That's not going to win a Super Bowl, and they're certainly not going to carry any of my money at 10s.
Right. All right, I like it.
But then when I did the homework later, I'm like, no, that's a bad answer.
A little contradiction
Big time.
coming. Let's get into power rankings. Can you guys rank your top 5 teams? Joey?
Ravens, Lions, Chiefs, Niners. I got a 3-way tie for fifth. Vikings, Bills, Texans.
Joey's been looking at my notes
All right.
again. Ravens, obviously.
Yep.
Lions, yeah, second. And I thought it was brilliant what they did on Sunday. Did they put the lineman as an eligible receiver
yeah,
at the
yeah,
start?
yeah, yeah.
Hook and ladder?
Genius. Kansas City, Minnesota, and Green Bay.
Wow, that was pretty close. You guys aligned on the top 3 at least.
It's because he looked at my notes.
I like it. Okay, favorite week 7 game for the total to go under. We call this the Craig special. Craig, start us off.
The mighty New York Jets at Pittsburgh Steelers. It's
Oof.
the biggest difference on my ratings.
Yeah.
Teams coming off a home game on Monday night, then going on the road is 4-1 to the under this year. And it's going to be ridiculously cold. There's a lot of cold games this week. And 40 years old, saw him with the woolly hat Monday night.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams, he's not saving that total.
Denver, New Orleans under 37 for me.
Okay.
If you look at that New Orleans Saints injury report, it's
Isn't
really
it like
bad on offense.
17 players?
It's really
it's
bad.
crazy. Yeah.
And again, the strength of this Denver team is their defense.
Yep.
Bo Nix hasn't been that impressive. They really haven't been able. I mean, this is like the Sean Payton game, right? The
Right.
homecoming. But still, yeah, I like the under here.
But the danger there is you've got a second-time starter. Didn't you throw a pick 6 last weekend?
Rattler,
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're betting under 39,
that'll make a
defensive
difference.
touchdowns can really, really hurt.
All right. On the reverse, favorite week 7 game for the total to go over. Joey, start us off.
Ravens Bucks.
Correct.
Yep.
Over 49.5, going back to the NFC South, and just the Ravens angle with their great offense and kind of mid defense.
Yeah. I like it.
That's the biggest difference on my numbers this week as well, on the over. The weather won't be an issue. The Ravens are 3-0 on the over on the road, Bucks 2-1 at home. Yeah,
I'm
I
excited
agree.
for this
That's
game.
a great call.
Okay, let's pick an NFL upset in week 7. Craig, the upset king, why don't you start us off?
All right, say this out loud. Repeat after me. The Jags are 5.5-point favorites.
I'm a little confused by that as well.
Yeah.
I was talking to our producer before we started, and question mark for me. Please explain.
I'm sorry. Is any of us crazy enough to take Jags minus 5.5?
Is it because
Sunday
they're
morning?
in London, they're feeling comfortable? Like they
This
didn't have
is
to fly?
This is, if you lose this game, you are on a different plane home than your team.
Yeah.
If you are the coach. Guaranteed.
Oh, God.
The Jets fired Salah after the London game. It's only because they're already in London this week. It's going to be cold and wet.
Mm-hmm.
The Jags are not a great team. They shouldn't be hanging 5.5 against anybody. And it hurts me to say
was
the
gonna say,
Patriots are going to win this
Craig's
game.
picking the Patriots.
I know.
Oh, my
does
God.
pain you. Yeah, I think with that one, there's like kind of, the Jags are already there. They're already acclimated. So that's the bump.
Makes no
But
difference.
this team's not good. For me, it's going kind of against the grain for Craig, but I like the Houston Texans. I know they're without Nico, but this team has been keeping it close all year. I think they're going to keep it close with this Packers and possibly come out with the win.
Yeah, another great game.
Oh, there's some brilliant games.
Yeah,
as well.
this week is a good one. Let's get into building your 3-leg anytime touchdown scorer parlay. Craig builds one, Joey builds one. We see if one cashes. Craig starts off.
I got 2 out of 3 last week.
Yeah,
That's a
you were
start.
right there.
And then my boy Lamar let me down. Okay, this one pays 30 to 1-ish until Joey goes and fixes all the odds after to make it look worse. Zay Flowers, Baltimore. We think that's an over game. You want to look at over games anyway.
Yeah.
Jameson
week.
Williams, Detroit, again, high-scoring game. Your boy Drake May, who carried the ball 5 times, rushed for 38 yards in his upset win against the Jags, carries one in for a touchdown, 30 to 1.
All right. I got 4 Ds here. Darnell Mooney, Falcons. Stephon Diggs, Texans. Demario Douglas, or Pop Douglas, for the Patriots. The only thing is kind of controversy on the wind, whether that's going to be affecting the passing game. But I'm still going to take it just because the Jags defense is horrific.
The triple D. All right, if you guys like either of these parlays, you can
None of them have cash, so no.
you can trail them on the Caesar Sportsbook app. All right, let's get into some overreactions or not. Are you guys ready?
Always.
Always. Overreaction or not, every team in the NFC North will make the playoffs.
Overreaction. 3 teams have made it each year in a division since the new playoff format in 2020. So there's only been 4 years that you can do it because of the rule change.
Right.
The only way I see this happening, you need to win at least 9 games. Only twice in 8 attempts, so AFC, NFC times 4, 8 times. Has that not been enough? You needed 11 in the AFC in 2020. So I see you need to split your divisional games. So you've got to go 3-3. Then you've got to win your 6 non-conference divisional games because that hampers your opponents in the wildcard race. So that gets you to 9 wins. Then you've got to win an AFC game. The Bengals last year missed out because they went 1-5 in the division, 3-3 in the conference non-division. The year before, Washington went 2-3-1 in the division, 3-3 in the conference. 2020 and 2021, no chance. The Bengals and Seahawks were awful. There's been only 1 divisional game in the NFC North this year. Vikings beat the Packers. And the Vikings are 2-0 in their conference non-divisional. Detroit have played 5 of their 6 non-divisional games. They're 4-1. Green Bay are 2-1 and Chicago 2-0. So the formula's there.
Yeah.
So, but I do think it's an overreaction because you've got to split your divisional games.
Yeah.
I think overreaction because, again, they've only been 1 NFC North game so far. If someone is, there's going to be probably a winner and probably a loser of that division. So it's going to be hard. Looking at my recent sims, just how it is today, 6% of the time was happening.
Lovely.
Wow. All right, overreaction or not, Derrick Henry will win MVP.
Not an overreaction. I think it doesn't appear that any of these quarterbacks want this trophy this year.
Yeah, apparently not.
Derrick Henry's defying the odds and really being that running back where over 30 people would say there's a drop-off, and he's kind of, shutting the critics up on that point. So I think he does have at least a path for it. The only problem is he's got another MVP candidate right next to him in the backfield.
Overreaction. Offensive player of the year, absolutely. He's plus 170 currently.
Yeah, but that's no fun.
No, it's boring. 60 to 1 for MVP, if I'm right. Did I see that correctly? Going back to last year, we had the 3-way race. CMC, Purdy, Lamar. And you'll end up having split votes between Purdy and CMC. What's Derrick Henry's middle name?
I don't know.
Lamar. And guess who's going to split votes with?
Lamar.
Yeah, there you go. So no, overreaction. No chance. I'd love to see it because I love King Henry, but no.
What would it take for him to win, in your opinion?
He would have to break Eric Dickerson's record by a distance.
Okay.
When he broke 2,000 yards 4 years ago, he wasn't even in the top 3 of MVP voting. When Dickerson broke 2,000 yards, he was second in MVP voting behind Dan Marino. And Dan Marino broke passing records. So he's got to eclipse Eric Dickerson's record by a distance.
Yeah, but he has to be the Ashton Genty of the NFL, basically.
Yeah.
And the quarterback play has to continue to be mid.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm surprised you didn't put him in your anytime touchdowns because he scored in every
I
game
thought
so
of it,
far.
but then every time I got Craig, it's like, oh, you're picking top.
All right. Moving on, overreaction or not, Spencer Rattler should keep the starting job.
Overreaction. Sacked 5 times, averaged 6 yards per pass, and only Will Levis and Deshaun Watson have a worse QBR.
Yeah, I got overreaction. Wasn't this the team we were crowning to be the NFL
after week
Yeah,
two.
in week
champion?
2 we sure were. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, Spencer Rattler has something, the chain, as he's known in the trading department. But taking over Carr with Carr's experience and knowledge is just, it's not the right move.
All right. Overreaction or not, the Giants are a quarterback away from being a playoff team.
Overreaction. I think they need a few more skilled players in order to get over that hump, be the playoff team.
Overreaction. They need a quarterback, a head coach, a kicker, and 2 extra yards. You're down 1 score, and you go for it 4th and 2 inside your own 40 in the start of the second quarter. They got flat out lucky because the Bengals turned the ball over 3 plays later.
Yeah.
Again, you're down a field goal. You go for it on 4th and 2 instead of attempting a 50-yard game-time field goal. If you don't have that kicker to kick a 50-yarder, then why do you even have the kicker on the team? They lost to Washington because they had an injured kicker, and they couldn't convert any of the 2 chances at 2-point conversions. Going back to what we said the other week, a punter can't even attempt a 37-yard extra point. They score that. Washington have to score twice, but because they had to go for 2 2-point conversions, it kept Washington in the game. But the one thing going for New York, they got October baseball for both teams.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. Overreaction or not, the Lions will be okay without Aiden Hutchinson.
Not an overreaction. Defensive ends are a very key component to NFL teams, and especially when we're talking playoffs. But if there's one team and one coach that can overcome the adversity, it's Dan Campbell and the Lions. And who's to say they don't go after somebody in the next couple weeks, too, to kind of fill that place? I mean, it was really sad to see him get injured because he's a special player.
Yeah,
that
very
was
sad.
Gruesome injury. Not an overreaction. The funny thing I liked about it, though, was Dan Campbell comes out. Everybody's reporting it's an 8-month recovery. Dan Campbell comes out and says, no, it's a 4-month recovery. He's so focused that he's going to be ready for the Super Bowl. Detroit will be in the Super Bowl. He's already talking him up anyway.
Wow.
It's tough to lose such talent, but there's talent out there that you can just – it's an easier replacement.
Yeah, and they looked pretty good even after he went out of the game.
Yeah, and if they put up 47 points every week, I think they'll be okay.
It was the Cowboys.
Yeah.
It was the Cowboys.
It's
Right.
very true. Overreaction or not, this quarterback class will go down as the best class in NFL history.
The biggest overreaction of all time.
Fair enough.
You're not old enough, neither of you. 1983 is the best, and it will never be eclipsed. John Elway, 5 Super Bowls, 148 wins, 9 Pro Bowls, and a Hall of Fame. Todd Blackledge, I had to look him up. Jim Kelly, 4 Super Bowls, 101 wins, 5 Pro Bowls, Hall of Fame. Tony Eason, 1 Super Bowl. Dan Marino, 1 Super Bowl, 147 wins, 9 Pro Bowls, Hall of Fame, and a record holder. And the other quarterback in that draft, Ken O'Brien. Guy had no chance. He played for the Jets.
I don't know if we count going to the Super Bowl as a Super Bowl.
Has Caleb, Jaden, or Bo Nix gone to the Super Bowl yet?
No, I don't think they've had the chance yet.
But
Yeah,
just had to call that one out. Okay, Joey?
Yeah, I got overreaction as well. I mean, we have a nice race brewing right now with Caleb and Jaden. But we still have, 2 of them that haven't even played a snap yet. Drake May, he's on the Patriots, so it's not looking great so far. But no shot.
No shot. Okay. No. Craig's Weather Watch. Craig, any games we need to look out for?
There's a huge polar vortex going across the country. It is really cold.
Cold.
And I don't like cold.
No,
I don't
that's
live
why
in
you live
Nevada
in Las
because-
Vegas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think I even own a coat. London, 15 to 25 mile an hour winds with an 80% chance of rain. But Wembley Stadium has this weird canopy, so you're better off just looking at the goalpost flags and see what that is. The Jets and Pittsburgh's going to be ridiculously cold as well. College, very wet and very windy in Baylor, Texas, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, and we saw what happened in Nebraska and Rutgers the other week. Cold, rain and snow in Colorado versus Air Force. Windy in South Florida versus UAB. And then some real cold games. Georgia State and Marshall, Boston College, Virginia Tech, Oregon, Purdue, Fresno, Nevada, 28 degrees at kickoff.
Wow.
Whoa.
I'm cold just hearing you
Yes.
talk about it. Well, thank you for that. Guys, let's get into some game previews. Let's start off with the Lions versus the undefeated Vikings. Vikings are coming off a bye week, but the Lions are coming off an absolutely monster performance. First question, which one's better to come off of?
A monster performance.
A monster performance?
Yeah, because you got the momentum.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Agreed. All right, Joey, what should we expect from this matchup?
Yeah, line opened up 1.5 Vikings. It's now 2.5 Vikings. So let's let the battle begin for the rightful spot of the King of the North. Both these teams have been very impressive so far. Obviously, the Lions lost a key piece on defense with Hutchinson, but if they can put up again 47 points in every game, I think they'll be fine. But it was the Cowboys. Vikings get a couple of bumps in this game. Coming off the bye is important, and they're not going to be pressured by Hutchinson. So that is why I think this line is kind of heading the Vikings' way. I think it's probably too big of a move because I think the Lions, again, they're higher in my power ratings, and I think they're just going to find a way to get it done. So I think there's a little bit of overreacting on the Vikings side. They've seen sometimes vulnerable. I think Darnold's got away with a couple of non-picks that probably should have been picks. So
Yeah.
I do like the Lions in this side, but it should be a very good game.
Two against the spread machines here. Lions are 4-1 against the spread. Vikings are 5-0 against the spread. Vikings are 44-17 straight up against the Lions at home. In the last 10 years, the Vikings were favourite 9 of those games. 8 of those games went under. The Vikings coming off a bye this week. Home favourites this year off a bye are 0-2 against the spread, and both games went under.
Wow.
I have this lower on the number than the market, so I'm kind of leaning to the under anyway, which would probably be the play. One to look for next week. Teams after playing the Lions have lost all 4 games by an average of 21 points. They get absolutely hammered. So obviously it's a physical game playing the Lions. So the Cowboys got lucky because they get a bye week this week. The Rams play the Vikings next week, and if the form stays, there's your upset.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's move on. The Super Bowl rematch we've all been waiting for, the undefeated Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. Craig, what should we expect?
The rematch of last year's Super Bowl. And I remember the screams in the trading office in the Super Bowl when Travis Kelce's rumbling towards the end zone in overtime. We're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
please don't. AFC teams on the road to NFC home favourites are 2-8 straight up and 4-6 against the spread. The Chiefs have won 6 of the last 7 meetings, but only 1 of the last 6 in California. The favourites 4-1 in the last 10 years of these matchups. Give me the 49ers for a reason I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Again, battle of the best coaches in the league, as we had a discussion last season.
Number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, exactly. Chiefs coming off the bye, 49ers coming off a mini bye.
Yeah.
So, I
Agreed.
think that's probably even. 49ers want revenge in this spot, especially at home, but obviously still without your star, CMC. Really don't like either side in this matchup. I think it's going to be very competitive, but I really don't see an edge on either side.
You know what I did forget?
What?
Isn't Andy Reid the king of coming off a bye?
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah, get rid of that 49ers.
No.
All right, I'm excited for that one. Next up, Ravens versus Bucks. Both teams are 4-2. Joey, break down this matchup for us.
Line opened up 4.5. Ravens now 3.5. We're seeing some Bucks money come in thus far, and I think it's the right side.
Yeah.
Again, I think Bucks are probably underrated, like Craig said earlier. Both these teams scored 30 plus points in their past 3 games. Baker, big trust, squaring off in Tampa. Should be a great matchup on Monday night. Obviously, the better than the other Monday night matchup by far. So this one's going to get the more views here.
Right.
Agree with the move towards the Bucks. I do think that they're going to be able to keep it close. And again, against that Ravens defense, the Bucks could certainly get ahead of that and then not have to worry about the sweat about the 3.5.
My best team on my ratings versus my most underrated team.
Yeah.
It's a gloomy outlook for us as a sports book because with the road favourites winning big last week, they went 9-0 against the spread and 8-1 over. We get all 4 primetime matchups this week as road favourites, which is not great because if you're a road favourite, you're taking off actually some of the true value because of home field advantage. So you might be losing a point to 3 points depending on who the team is. Primetime road favourites, say that twice, are 4-1 against the spread and 5-0 straight up. For the season, road favourites are 20, 10, and 2 against the spread and 24 and 8 straight up. We're going to be looking at these on on the primetime nights. Baltimore, the over-betters darling, they're 5-1, along with Washington, Seattle, and Carolina. Yeah, you'd never thought that.
No.
That's probably because the other team scoring all the points.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, Carolina's opponents average 34 points per game. The Bucs have got a tough stretch coming up. They've got the Ravens, the Falcons, the Chiefs, the 49ers, but they get lucky because 3 of them are at home. This is the over of the week. No need to amend that.
All right. The 5-1 Texans versus the 4-2 Packers. Craig, break it down.
So my 5th best team versus my most overrated.
Yeah.
I'm going to look really wrong on Sunday now. Packers 4-1 versus Texans, historically straight up. But the Texans are 0-16 straight up as a road dog against NFC opponents in the last 10 years. I made the Packers a much stronger favourite here. The market completely disagrees with me. But I'm going back to my earlier comment. I think the Texans were overrated. And when I put that in and I looked at the data, start thinking about it, I'm like, because I thought the Texans had a much softer schedule. Packers are 0-2 against teams with winning records. They've lost to the Vikings and lost to the Eagles. The Texans are 2-1 against winning teams. Beat a good Bills team. Trying to think who else they beat.
Yeah.
Lost to the Vikings.
Yeah, they lost to the Vikings.
Doesn't matter. They
Yeah.
beat winning teams. So yeah, the proverbial egg will be on my face because as much as I like the Packers for this, and I overrate the Texans, I think Texans might play them tough.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side. I like the Texans in this one. Line opened up 2.5. Packers now 3. Could this be a potential Super Bowl matchup? Maybe. I mean, these are two kind of really underneath that tier class of each conference.
Right.
Jordan Love has had the benefit of getting right against 2 bad NFC West defenses the past 2 weeks. Returns to Lambeau, trying to fight off Houston Texans, CJ Stroud. Texans are a sneaky 5-1, again, coming in like close games. They beat some good teams. Obviously hurts not having Nico in this one. But I do expect it to be a one-possession game. And if I had to take a side, I'm going to take the points. Give me the Texans.
All right, we will see. Excited for all of these matchups. Again, just
There's some great ones
insane
this
week.
Yeah.
Moving on to our game picks. We went 6 for 6 last week on our game picks, bringing our totals to Joey 8 for 12, Cindy 7 for 12, and Craig 4 for 12. We're doing pretty good, guys.
You two are. And of course, the week I go 2-0, you two go 2-0.
Thank God. We got to keep as far of a lead as possible. Who would like to start this week?
I'll go.
All right, Craig.
I picked the 49ers -1, and then I realised, it's Andy Reid off a bye, but I'm sticking with it. 49ers -1, and I'm going to go first half under 28, Baylor versus Texas Tech, because it's 30-mile-an-hour winds. Yes, please.
There you go.
All right.
First pick, college. Going to do Army, -16 versus ECU. Again, this team, start to finish, I think they're just going to fight to the very end, and they could easily win by 28 in my mind. From the NFL side, I'm going to go with what the numbers suggest. That's the Ravens Buccaneers over 49.5.
I like it. For college, I'm going Texas -3.5. I just don't believe Georgia can get it done. And for NFL, Ravens Bucks over 49.5. So me and Joey are on the same side there.
So cheering for an under now.
I know, right? All right, guys. Anything to say before we end today's episode?
Oh, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Not that anybody needed it last week. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
it was a very, very good weekend for the public.
Historical.
Historical. So, all right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.